We've watched Barry Davis for many, many years following the Blue Jays on Rogers Sportsnet. And the Jays, after a day off, are at Tampa Bay tonight. Let's bring Barry in now. And Barry, if you don't mind, it's a Western Canadian show. I got to ask you, does the CFL, has it ever rated on your radar as a GTA guy?
I would say back in the days when John Candy was part of the ownership team, there was a lot of excitement. I think there was some excitement when Doug Flutie was a member of the team, yet there seemed to be more attention to Doug Flutie once he left the CFL and became an NFL quarterback. So, yeah, the CFL in Toronto, a very small pocket of fans who are very loyal. Hamilton, it becomes a little bit larger. But yeah, honestly, it's sad that there's not a good market here for the CFL. I'd much rather see them spread out into places like Nova Scotia, right? Maybe in Quebec City, places where they will support the CFL. Trust me, I get it. It's a great game.
That's a wonderful game. And there was no wrong answer for that. I was just curious. It's 25 to 30 years ago that you were. Cool. But Blue Jays is your thing. And we had your good friend Arash on the other day. Was it just yesterday? I think it was. We're talking about the Jays and just how exciting they are. They open up at Tampa Bay tonight. What's been your take through the first 2 to 3 weeks of this regular season?
I think that this team is young. I think this team is hampered by injuries. Look, normally we're not going to make excuses about an injured team, but we're talking 3 of your back-end bullpen guys are injured right now, including your closer and 2 kids that are, both very capable of being great setup guys or closers themselves. You are missing 3 of your starters. You're missing your top hitter in George Springer. So this team has been decimated by injuries. Don't forget Teoscar Hernandez as well is out. Having said that, I think this team has actually done better overall record-wise than I would suspect they would be with the number of injuries and the fact they don't have the depth. My concern with, if there is one right now, and I think there is one, and that's the defense overall. You can struggle offensively, you can struggle as a pitcher, but once you start struggling defensively, then it becomes an issue. And I think it's more or less guys getting in the right headspace, guys just focusing more. They're better than this. These are not bad defensive players. These are good defensive players that are all going through a bit of a struggle right now, and it's costing them games.
Well, I got to ask you this. We talked about the growth of the kids coming up through the system, and we feel, Barry, you and I have never met, but I feel like I know you because I've watched you forever. And
virtually.
These kids, Biggio, Vladdy, Bo Bichette, we've seen them come up as kids. My question is, will they all still be together by the time their next contract's up? Because in hockey, that's the thing. You often say it's going to be hard to keep this young group together. Do you see good things on the Jays' horizon? Is keeping them in the years ahead, is it a thing to worry about being able to keep the core together?
Well, of course you have to worry about it because none of them are signed to long-term deals. Now, the nice thing about Major League Baseball is you have control for a certain amount of years and they go through arbitration. So they're not going to be free agents for a while. But you don't want to get to a situation where any of those 3 guys are free agent. You want to lock them all up. I think it's pretty clear that each of those 3 guys are going to be a huge part of this organization. They love playing with each other. They've come up through the system together. They would love nothing more than to go on and win a World Series as a group. Rogers has to step up and give all 3 of these guys extended contracts because they are all a part of it. And I know many are going to look and say, Biggio's really had a rough time. He's not making the throws. He's really struggling. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. He's the real deal. All 3 of them are. They need to sign all 3 of them. And it is on Rogers and management to get these things done before they even go to arbitration, because arbitration does nothing but create bad blood. Because the player and his agents are talking about how great they are, and then management's always going to come back and say why they're not good enough to get this contract. And even if they do work it out, there's always some kind of bad blood there. So more than anything, I would like to see them sign all 3 of the guys, especially this guy on my shirt here, by the way. I didn't know if you noticed my
I do.
My Vladdy shirt here.
Listen. Is that pre-weight loss or after? Like it's
No, this is old. This was I was selling these a couple of years ago, and then I was told that we're not allowed to sell them because the lettering on the Toronto was too similar to that of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah. I gotcha. Hope.
That's another story for another day.
That's a story for another day. We have viewer comments and questions coming in, by the way, for you, Barry. I'll fire them at you when we're done here. But when you talk about money and signings, let's talk about George Springer, the highest paid Blue Jay of all time, has yet to take the field. I see he's going to participate in an intra-squad game here today. Before we get how big of an impact when he does come back? Because he strikes me as a guy that just won't play unless he's 100%. When he does come back, what's his impact going to be, do you think?
Oh, well, it should be huge. I mean, first of all, he's going to be your leadoff hitter. The Jays don't have a leadoff hitter right now. They tried Semien. I don't get Semien as a leadoff hitter. He strikes out way too often. You need a guy that can get on base, that can work a walk, work pitch counts. I know he has speed, Semien does, but George Springer is your leadoff hitter. He's also your leader in the clubhouse. And as much as he probably is still showing that leadership when he's around the team, when you're a leader, you want to be out there doing it. You don't want to be just the one talking. You want to be out there actually leading by example. So I think he's going to have a huge impact, not only as far as the numbers he gives, but the impact he's going to have on other players. I think that's going to be a huge, huge factor to have him back. And it looks as though it's going to be soon, right? The good news is a quad injury is not overly serious as long as it's taken care of.
Well, and that's my question. I'm looking up his contract here. $151 million. How many years is it, Barry?
I want to say it's
6 years.
At least six, maybe.
It is 6. I'm sorry, 6 years, 150. Well, the Jays should be a contender within those 6 years. Does he stay a Jay by the end of his contract, do you think, to see the good days here?
Well, I tell you what, if they win a World Series in 2 years, who knows what's going to happen?
It's worth it.
But as long as this team is competing, as long as this team is building, I don't see any reason why George Springer won't be here. If for some reason this team just goes into the tank completely, over the next couple of years, then they may end up trading him at some point. But that's long, long off from now. And I think the chances are really good that he's going to be around this team when good things do start to happen.
What is the starting pitching situation as we sit here today with the Toronto Blue Jays? Hyun-Jin Ryu is healthy. Where's Pearson at? Because going into the season, everybody was criticizing it. What is the health situation with their starting rotation?
It's not good. It really isn't good. Now, the good news is Nate Pearson is working his way back and hopefully should return to the rotation relatively soon. Robbie Reyes has been what Robbie Ray normally is, right? He's going to strike out a lot of guys. He's also going to walk a lot of guys. So you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days from him. Matt's looked really, really good and kind of has a little bit of Jimmy Key to him for older people out there that remember Jimmy Keys. So there's a little bit of a similarity there. It just has so many guys out right now. Now, it's great for some of the younger pitchers to have the opportunity to say, hey, listen, I can be a starter too. And we saw that with Thornton the other day. I think Borucki, although, when I put it out there that I'd like to see Borucki in the rotation at some point, I had a lot of people say, no, keep him there. He looks great there. He looks great there. And I agree. For this year, keep him there. He looks great. Somewhere down the line, I still look at Borucki as a starter. I think that when he was starting pre-injury, he looked really good. So this is an opportunity now for some of these younger players that were kind of thinking at the end of spring training, this sucks. They went and got all these, veteran guys, and now I don't have a chance. They have a chance now. And I think they have to find a way to not have Tanner Roark in that starting rotation or in the bullpen, really.
From the viewers, quite a few. Craig Monroe says, ask Barry for his honest thoughts on Montoyo as a manager. And Troy in Toronto says, is Charlie Montoyo the manager to lead this team to a World Series? So two guys want to know the same thing, Barry.
Yeah, and whenever a team is struggling in certain areas, the manager's always going to hear it first. From what I hear from players, they love Charlie Montoyo. They love playing for him. I've heard people with a lot more experience in baseball than I have, simply because they played the game, talk about what a great manager he is. He's still a young manager, and he's going to be prone to make mistakes. And one of the biggest challenges a manager can ever face is when he tries to put up his lineup card and sees that he doesn't have a lot there. There were many complaining and saying, why did they not pinch hit for Danny Jansen the other night? Well, you need someone that is good enough to be putting in that spot to hit for Danny Jansen. I understand the beef of a lot of fans. All I ask is let's give it a little more time. We're still so early into this season. The Jays have played very well against New York. They are not out of it by any realm of the imagination. I think that I can give you a better idea of how good of a manager Charlie Montoyo is once I see a healthy lineup. There are certain moves that he makes that you question, but give me a manager the Blue Jays have had, or anybody has ever had, where you're not questioning, why did they do this? Why did they pull this guy? Why did they put this guy in? Should have pinch hit for this guy. Why is this guy not bunting? Whenever something goes wrong, the manager's always going to hear it. When something goes right, it's all the players. So I tend to kind of just sit back and say, let's give it a little bit more time. I'm still not 100% convinced he's going to be a great manager, but by no means am I thinking that the Jays should be looking to replace him yet.
Well, let's look at the pros. The players love him, got him into the playoffs. And by the way, he's just signed a 5-year extension, so it doesn't matter what all of us think. Obviously, Ross Atkins believes that he's the guy, so away we go. From Alex Nolfi, he says, hey, Rod, if you can squeeze in a question, could you ask Barry what the transition from sports broadcasting to his post-Sportsnet life has been like?
Oh, so much more relaxing. Yeah, so much more, a lot less stress. And when you see what's going on in the world right now, the job I had wouldn't even be that job anymore, because I wouldn't be traveling. I wouldn't be, sitting in ballparks. I'd be sitting in a studio, doing my job from there. So I was on the road for a good 25 years, and I missed a lot of my personal life. I miss watching my son grow up, who's now 21 years old. So for me, it is, I get the best of both worlds right now. I get to do a podcast. I get to talk to former Blue Jay players all the time. By the way, Eric Kratz will be on our show this Sunday, former Blue Jay, great guy. We also have, over the next couple of weeks, this is where I do my little self-promotion plug here, by the way, Rod. We've got Jeremy Accardo and his wife, Carly. Now, you may have seen what's gone on. Their 9-year-old daughter passed away from cancer about 4 or 5 months ago, and they live in Arizona, and the Phoenix Coyotes have done some amazing things. They put her on their Ring of Honor. They've done so many things to help her, and we're going to talk to them about how they're getting on with their life. And then the following week, we've got Marco Estrada coming on. So we've got lots of great guests coming up. So there's my plug for that. As far as adjusting, if I was still, I look at it this way. Since I left Sportsnet, I've gotten myself back into making music. I have met hundreds of new people, including yourself, whom I never met when I was there. I always look at the positives. I try not to look back and say what I should have done, what I could have done, where I could have been. I like where I am right now, and I like being able to talk open and honestly about, the Toronto Blue Jays and be able to carry on conversations with players and not have someone sitting there with a clock saying you've only got 2 minutes to do this. So I'm happy.
Yeah, or you can't say this, or you have to say this, because I get it all the time, by the way, from people. They're like, Rod, you look so happy. You look younger. What's the deal? No stress. That's what you just said.
That's right.
Yeah, so where can people
I'm sitting in my basement studio, right?
Yeah, I know. It's the best thing. Where can people find your podcast, by the way?
Okay, so we are just recently, over the last month, we're now on YouTube every week. So if you look up Out of the Park, you will see us. You can click there. You'll see our full episodes each and every week on YouTube. If you still are into the listening phase, we're on SoundCloud. We're on Google Play. We're on iTunes. We're working on getting ourselves into Spotify as well. So there are lots of places. If you follow me on Twitter, @BarryDavis_, I'll have my links up there for all the shows that you can see.
Good stuff, Barry. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games.
All right, Rod, take care. Always great to be on with you, pal.
Thank you, buddy. Barry Davis from the Out of the Park podcast joining us.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.